cold as a razor blade, as tight as a tourniquet, like the skin on a dying man.
I don't want a piece of the world. I want the whole world.
I make my own rules because it's much easier that way.
Trust me.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of The Snake Pit. And my friend here, Jake, is on the road. You're in Texas right now. Is that right, Jake?
Yeah, the big state, man.
What's going on? Why do you find yourself in the Lone Star State?
Well, I'm out here visiting my grandkids, man. You know, and I got a few to see and some family other than my grandkids to see. So I'm going to see my aunt and my half sister and a niece and of course 2 of my boys and their wives and their kids.
That is a damn good reason to be on the road, getting to see some family. That is fantastic, man. I'm glad that you're down there in Texas. And by the way, today we're talking about Texas a little bit. Jake, we've got a first here on the podcast. We're taking our first look back to 1984 and your brief run with WCCW after leaving Georgia. Originally, Jake, I thought maybe we could wrap this thing up in one episode because it's a fairly brief run, but really it's from August 84 to January 85. So it covers an awful lot of ground. So this is going to be part 1 of our look back at this time in your career. Before we get into it, Jake, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing over there at adfreeshows.com. The 3-time world heavyweight champion, the total package, Lex Luger, is joining Ad Free Shows for an exclusive interactive series called Lex Expressed. And I've got a little teaser here for our listeners. Let's have a listen.
Ad Free Shows is home to a Hall of Fame lineup of legends and icons, and we continue to add to that legacy with a 3-time world heavyweight champion who stunned the wrestling world on the debut episode of Monday Nitro, firing the first shot in the Monday Night War.
What in the hell is he doing here?
From the football field to the wrestling ring, a physical specimen. He's run with the Horsemen and the Wolf Pack, a narcissist, an American hero, the master of the torture rack. He's the total package, Lex Luger. It's Lex Expressed, arriving in October, exclusively on adfreeshows.com. Lex will be joined by Conrad Thompson every month, looking back at some of his most memorable moments and matches. And in this special interactive format, Lex will also be answering questions from the live studio audience, which is you, available at the $29 level and up. And Top Guy members can join Lex live. It's Lex Expressed, coming soon to adfreeshows.com.
All right, well, there it is, the total package coming to Ad Free Shows. Jake, you're among the legends here on Ad Free Shows, and we've added another big name. Pretty awesome.
Oh, it'll be great, man. I can't wait to hear what Lex has to say. You know, he has a lot to say. But, you know, I'm also out here in Texas doing something I never thought I would do. And I'm going to my 50th high school class reunion.
How about that? 50 years.
Yeah, I'm punishing my wife. She has to go with me.
That's awesome, man. Hey, look, it's you've gone out and made a hell of a name for yourself since you graduated high school. I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing some old buddies, huh?
Yeah, if I have any buddies.
Oh, come on.
Back then, I wasn't, I wasn't that guy. You know, I was very quiet, very shy. I wasn't, I didn't fit in.
Interesting, because, every time we see you on screen, it's like you're just so comfortable in your own skin and just cooler than the other side of the pillow. But you just weren't always that guy, huh?
No, I wasn't, man. I really wasn't. So it's going to be interesting to see. And Cheryl, she gets to go along with me. Of course, seeing the grandkids, she's great with the grandkids, man. She's unbelievable.
Man, it's so cool that you guys are getting the opportunity to go out there and have some fun, not just at the high school reunion, but get to spend some time with the grandkids. It's man, that's what life's about.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Well, Jake, it was ad-free shows. Members get to shape that show with Lex Luger by asking questions and take it one step further. Top Guy members can join and interact with Lex live each episode. Catch Lex Express starting this October, plus thousands of hours of other bonus series like Tuesday with the Taskmaster with Kevin Sullivan. I'm doing the Hacksaw Hour with Jim Duggan. The book with David Crockett and more. It's exclusively on adfreeshows.com. So, Jake, let's jump into our topic here today. It's 1984 in WCCW. To tell the full story, we're going to wind the clock back just a little ways to our Legion of Doom episode, which is available now in our archives. But Jake, just a quick refresher, what prompted your departure from the Georgia territory?
Well, it was real simple. Vince McMahon bought it.
That'll do it.
Yeah, when he bought it, that was the end of me.
Now, do you think that you had a place moving forward if you wanted it and just didn't want it, or were you out?
Want it.
Didn't want it.
No, I still was old school.
Okay.
Yeah. I into the rock and wrestling, scenario. I didn't buy into all that. I thought it was bad for wrestling.
Yep, and this is right at the time. I mean, just for frame of reference for everyone, Vince made his arrival in the Georgia territory in August of 1984, and Hulkamania started running wild in January of that year. So we were on that trajectory of cartoonish style wrestling and rock and wrestling and all that shit. So Jake, you were ready to continue the old school territory way, right?
Stupid.
It wouldn't. It's we're only 2 years away from you making the jump, and we'll cover what made you arrive at that decision in depth down the road. But for right now, I'm curious, of all the territories, Jake, you had built quite a name for yourself up to this point. What made you decide to move to world class?
Well, lack of choices, probably. There was a lot going on at the time, man. Vince was buying up everything and knocking everything down, and didn't leave many opportunities for anybody. And one thing for sure is I wasn't going back to Crockett, because I'd had my fill of that.
What was it about Crockett that kind of stuck in your craw?
It just it wasn't happening for me there.
Okay, they had their guys that they were pushing, and that was
it. Flair and his boys.
Yep. Well, we know that no shows and inconsistent booking would ultimately be the biggest downfall for WCCW, but that's still a few years away. At this time, what was the state of WCCW as you're coming in the door?
It was crazy, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, the boys were just running rampant, man. They did what they wanted to do and when they wanted to do it. If they wanted to show up, they showed up. If they didn't, they didn't, and the bad thing is you didn't know what they were going to be like if they showed up.
Right.
They were running amok. It was pretty sad.
Would you say that following all of the success that they had with the Freebirds, that this territory, as soon as the Freebird thing was done, is it just on a decline at this point?
Oh yeah, it's a big nosedive. Big.
Man, it's a shame because there's just so much damn talent in that territory, as we're about to discuss here. I mean, gosh, some of these names that we're going to be going over are just incredible.
Yeah.
At this time, Jake, Fritz Von Erich is the sole owner of the territory. Had you ever met Fritz prior to this move?
Yeah, I'd met him when I was a kid.
Okay.
My father wrestled for him, and I'd met him.
Now, you're coming from a territory where there were kind of the buck stopped with a few people. Ole, Jack and Jerry Briscoe.
Yeah.
I know that Barnett had his fingers in things before he ultimately got out.
Usually somebody.
I left it. I softballed it in there and you hit a home run. I knew you would. Is it your preference, generally speaking, when you're in a territory where the buck stops with one guy, or is it better to have multiple people kind of putting their input in there?
One
guy.
Yeah, one guy, man. You're better off with one guy. That way you know where you're at when you start. You know where you're at when you finish.
I'm with you. It's black and white when one person is in charge. There's no gray area. It's this or nothing.
Absolutely.
Fritz was often criticized for pushing his boys despite how unreliable they would become. Had you heard about that reputation before coming into WCCW?
It was obvious.
Yeah.
It was obvious, brother.
So, I mean, it doesn't take long. You're in the door and you're like, holy shit, this place is a mess.
Yep.
Well, you debut for the company in August, and right away you're making a splash with a TV title victory over gentleman Chris Adams. You're coming off a really hot run in Georgia and a legendary feud for the TV title there with Ronnie Garvin. Coming in the door here, are you being made any promises as to how you're going to be used, or is it just
Nope.
like it's just crazy night every night? Here's what we're doing.
It was crazy. You didn't know what the hell you were going to do, and you didn't know why you were going to do it.
Oh God! All right, I can see why maybe this might have been a little bit of a frustrating period of time for you.
Most frustrating time of my life.
Would you say that this territory marks the most frustrating period of time in the territories for you?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
It's interesting too because, like, on paper, you're getting positioned pretty well here, as we're about to discuss. But it's just like the backstage bullshit was just too much, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, plus you would go out in the ring and you couldn't follow anything
Why is that?
because the boys were fucking doing whatever they wanted.
Oh God. Okay.
You
So
know? And usually that meant your shoulders to the mat, 1, 2, 3.
So it's pretty soon you'd be working in Bill Watts territory, and it was always very much like Bill's way. This is how we're doing it. And
Right.
you had mentioned before that Bill would say like, "Hey, if Bill doesn't give you permission to get color out there, you're not doing it." Whereas Fritz is a little bit more loose with everything.
Yep.
That's not a good recipe. But you are off to a hot start with Adams, and he was one of the top baby faces in the territory at the time. On September 3rd, he'd get a rematch for that world-class TV title at the big Labor Day Star Wars event. It's our first clip this week. Let's go ahead and drop in on that match.
There's a drive to the side of the head.
3 minutes. There's only 3 minutes remaining.
3 minutes remaining. Jake the Snake Roberts now on his feet. The ebb and flow of this bout has seen first one man, then the other. The rules have been toyed with. There's a clothesline. Jake the Snake on top. He thinks he's got him. Gary Hart distracted him beautifully. Gary Hart stuck under the rope just to get Jake the Snake off. Now Gary removes his coat, distracting Bronco Lubitsch. Jake the Snake throws Adams over the rope again, but here he is back. 3.
The new television champion, gentlemen, Chris Adams.
All right, so there it is. Chris Adams wins back that TV title, and it's kind of a screw job finish, though, after the distraction from Gary Hart, even though Adams was the clear-cut babyface and you were the clear-cut heel here. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, go figure that out.
Yeah, a little bit of a screw job, but yeah, it's I think we're building towards something here a little bit.
Yeah, like nobody knows what the fuck's going on.
Would this have been, Mark, the first time that you had met or been around Chris Adams?
Yeah.
And what did you think of him as a man and an in-ring worker?
Well, at first I thought he was a pretty tight guy.
Okay.
But that would change.
All right. Should we get into why it would change now, or you want to wait a little bit?
I'll just go ahead and wait, man.
Okay, because I've got a few questions that I think you're driving toward. So the match goes about 15 minutes, and it's presented as kind of a real struggle between the two of you. Was presenting the match as a true fight something Fritz would emphasize, or was that just the style that you and Chris had?
That's just the style Chris and I had.
Is Fritz emphasizing much at this period? It feels like he's kind of letting it go fucking crazy there.
Just letting it run.
The rumor about Adams is that he could be really stiff, and let me tell you, dude, that super kick looked like it about took your fucking head off.
Yeah.
He got you with, I mean, it was nasty. Would you say that he was a little rough in the ring?
He had his moments.
Okay. And was that one of them with that super kick? Because it looked bad.
Yep. You know, you get around guys like that, you find out pretty quick they're going to save it to the last parting shot.
So there's no rebuttal.
Right.
Oh, for God's sake. So Jake, can you speak to the level of popularity of Chris Adams in the territory at this time?
Oh, he was very, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
He was over like Rover, you know. So that wasn't the issue. The issue was the boys were running rampant, and you couldn't depend on anything. You know, you might come up with a good idea on Monday, but by Tuesday, everybody forgot the idea.
God almighty. Well, Adams is top babyface here. As I'm looking back through a lot of the footage, doing research. I mean, the women have T-shirts of him. They have 8x10s of him. They're screaming every time he's coming out or getting thrown out of the ring. Like it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not going to last long. On October 6th, we're officially on the march to the first Cotton Bowl extravaganza, and you found yourself paired with Gino Hernandez and Andrea, the Lady Giant, who we, of course, would soon know as Baby Doll, taking
Right.
on Adams and Kevin Von Erich. You guys are looking for a third wrestler to help you take on the Von Erichs for their 6-man tag titles, and you'd find one in an unexpected place. Let's go ahead and check it out.
Has a little shake it up. Jake the Snake getting help from Gino Hernandez. Up and over the top rope. The referee didn't see that. David Manning had his back to that, or that would have cost Snake and Gino the match. Kevin, a great football player, just gave him a shot, and Chris Adams comes in with a super kick and a shot on Gino Hernandez. Chris Adams firing on Gino Hernandez. Chris looking for an action. Whoa, Chris. And Stella Mae French is back in the arena. David Manning pointing for Stella Mae to get out of there. Gino rolling up on top of Chris. 1, 2, and 3. And Gino Hernandez and Jake the Snake Roberts beat Kevin Von Erich and Chris Adams. And Chris is upset with Stella Mae. I guess in this position he could see that Stella Mae pulled the leg out from under Gino Hernandez. And Gary Hart evidently talking rather strongly to Stella Mae and Kevin. Chris and Gary having a little bit of discussion here now. And a super kick on Kevin Von Erich. And Gary Hart fires on Kevin, and what's happened here? Stella Mae popped to the ground. Chris Adams and Gary Hart unloading on Kevin Von Erich. And now Kevin is in trouble, and Chris just walks away. Chris just walks away and dumbfounds everybody. There goes Gino throwing Stella Mae out, and they got Kevin Von Erich over here bashing on him, while Gary Hart and Chris Adams have left Kevin to his own chances. A strange, strange turn of events. Jake the Snake and Gino. Oh, there is a neck breaker.
There's a neck breaker.
Devastating neck breaker there at the end.
Yeah.
Did you have to smarten them up about like, hey, it's called a fucking DDT, gang?
I tried.
Oh, good grief. Well, pretty, I mean, you know, look, I know it's chaos and the inmates are running the asylum there, Jake, but that was a pretty fun angle there.
Man.
Yeah, pretty well put together. You and Gino find a new ally here, and it's of course, you know, Chris Adams. And many current fans know about Gino thanks to Dark Side of the Ring. A really well-established star, Bruce Pritchard, has gone on the record to say that he could have been a really successful $1 million man in the WWF. Yeah. What did you think of Gino as both an individual and a tag team talent?
He was all right, man. Gino was harmless. A guy that would go out there and try to, you know, stab you in the back or anything like that. He just went out and did his job, man.
Would you say that you liked him on a personal level?
Yeah, I got along with him pretty good.
Do you think that Gino, if he had come to the WWF, do you think he could have reached main event potential, or where do you think he would have eventually landed?
Yeah, he would have. He would have definitely went to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see him doing the $1 million gimmick easily.
All right, let's hit the pause button real quick to talk about a partner that is near and dear to my heart. I'm talking about AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. Guys, before AG1, I used to wake up every morning and I was taking a bunch of multivitamins and supplements, and I hated it. I mean, getting all that stuff was expensive. And then once you're done, swallowing all those pills and vitamins and supplements, you don't even have an appetite for your breakfast anymore. So once I got fed up with that, I was like, okay, maybe I'll try doing a healthy smoothie every single morning. Well, the smoothies tasted good, but you have to go and get all the ingredients, and then it takes time to measure out portions. And then when you're done, it takes even more time to thoroughly clean the blender and make sure that you get underneath all those blades. And it was just eating up so much of my time. I needed a simple, singular solution that would cover all my nutritional bases, would give me more energy through the day, and would give me better gut health, something that would support my immune system, especially with my young daughter coming home from daycare with a bunch of germs on her hands and coughing. And, it's, if you've ever had a toddler, you know that once they get home from daycare, they're just like little carrier monkeys. They've got all kinds of germs, and all of a sudden you yourself are getting sick all the time. I needed something to help me, and AG1 was the solution. And after more than a year with that, I can say I've never been happier with my morning routine or felt healthier. AG1 made life easy for me by providing 75 high-quality ingredients that give me key daily nutrients by simply mixing 1 scoop with water. That's it. I drink it. I'm done. More time to spend with my family, more time to get work done, simple cleanup, and the energy and health to tackle every obstacle that gets put my way. It's an easy micro habit that delivers macro results. If you got a family and a budget like I do, I know what your next question is, because it would be my next question. How much does it cost? Well, we're talking about less than $3 a day. My wife every morning is going to the gas station or Starbucks in order to get, some kind of a special coffee or a snack or something like that to get her morning started. Not anymore. She and I are wrestling over the AG1 every morning to see who can get theirs first. And let me say, we both broke our bad habits, and we're saving money on a science-driven formulation of vitamins, probiotics, and whole food source nutrients with AG1. That is a giant win-win in my house. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Just go to drinkag1.com/snake. That's drinkag1.com/snake, SNAKE. Check it out, guys, and I know that you're going to love it just like I do. I mean, the guy's got a good promo as I'm watching this stuff back. He looks good. He's kind of got all of the elements. Unfortunately, I think some of his demons got in the way. Andrew Hermes did a lot of the heavy lifting on notes this week, but I did some research of my own to get the full story. And one of the people I spoke to was Baby Doll, and she told me that you and Gino were like brothers during this time. Would you agree that you were close like brothers at that time, or just more of like a good working relationship?
Good working relationship.
Okay.
He kind of kept his private stuff to himself.
I have heard that about him, where he kind of played things close to the vest.
Yep.
Gino and Chris both had reputations as big party guys. As a little teaser last week, Jake, we ended the episode with you saying that you had a good story about partying with Gino. I think now's the time.
Oh my God. Well, it was really kind of funny because Gino was paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a black tag team there at the time, PYT, Pretty Young Things.
Yeah.
As Coco Beware and Norvell Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on a plane trip from Houston to Dallas. And they had some words. And Norvell was just fucking around with Gino. The Gino took it to heart. And me seeing the opportunity, I'm like, dude, you better watch your back. So Man, don't let me walk off this plane by myself. I know they're going to get me. I'm like, dude, what do you want me to do? Just follow me home. Follow you home?
Oh my
Jesus,
God.
crazy? And he's like, follow me home and I'll give you a gram. So I followed him home.
And you got the gram?
Yeah.
Well, I would say that that's a job well done.
Yeah. It was.
Like paranoid. Well, I know that, you know, we would hear about that stuff with him on the dark side of the ring. I always just assumed that it had to do with, you know, he was getting deeper and deeper into substance abuse. But do you think that was just Gino as a dude? He was just a paranoid guy?
Yeah, it was the substance abuse that did it.
Okay. It just had him on edge.
Yep. Thought everybody was out to get him.
Oh, Lord. So in doing research for this, I heard a number of wrestling personalities who got to know Chris Adams over the years, say that when he drank, he would completely lose control and sometimes even become violent. Jake, did you ever experience that?
He was never violent around me, but I've seen how nasty he could get.
Okay.
I mean, you seen it in that match there. I mean, he's hitting a woman.
Yes.
You know, he's giving her pretty solid shots to the chest, you know.
Yep.
And there's no excuse for that. If you're going to do that in a wrestling match, what the hell will you do in your real life?
Yes. I mean, if you're going to be doing that when a camera's rolling, what are you doing when the camera's not rolling?
You got that right.
Yeah. So now you kind of teased it a little bit earlier here where you initially thought he was a good dude. What was the tipping point for you with Chris Adams where you're like, okay, maybe not a great guy?
Just the women thing.
Okay.
I'd heard that he was very abusive.
Man, what a shame, because I mean, you can see the guy's talent on screen. You know, I think he invented that super kick, and now, of course, Shawn Michaels popularized it. But I mean, looking at that thing, you could argue that his was better. Just like, man, that I've heard a lot of people say he kind of torpedoed his own career.
Yep.
Well, one of the other things that Baby Doll told me when I was talking to her was that Gino wasn't necessarily a huge help to her as far as educating her and helping her to spotlight her on TV. But she did say that you could not have been more wonderful. She said that you were almost like a big brother figure to her, and she credits you with teaching her how to be a heel and really understand the psychology of wrestling on road trips together. Jake, what would you say made you take her under your wing?
Well, my thought in wrestling is there's two people out there. You better help each other. You both have a common goal, you know. And if you got a tag team, then now you got 4 people out there, or 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
But you best work together if you want the product to be, you know, spotty. You know, if you don't want the product to be spotty or shoddy. So you got to help each other, man. So if I can teach you something that'll help you look better, it's gonna ultimately make me look better too.
And that's just simple psychology. Like it's
real simple.
You kind of hurt yourself when you don't hurt or help others, right?
Absolutely, man. Make the whole thing look nasty.
So now you and I chatted about it a little bit before we hit the record button. Why do you think Gino was averse to helping Baby Doll out?
But she was bigger than he was. I remember they did a video of them sitting in his Corvette, and they filmed it, and then they stopped and they said, "Let's look at it." And they looked at it, and he's like, "No way, man, no way, we can't let that go." Like, what's wrong? She's a foot taller than I am. So they finally went and got 2 phone books for him to sit on.
That's like almost more humiliating than her being bigger than you, as you have to sit on phone books.
Yep.
Yikes. How big was Gino? Like 5'10"?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, fairly small, especially in that era. One other note that I got from Baby Doll when I was talking to her was she said that her father was Nick Roberts, who was a wrestler, and apparently he and the Sheik would absolutely blow up Lubbock, Texas back in the day with their rivalry. And apparently the Sheik would sometimes have a snake with him. And she said she doesn't know this for sure, so she wanted me to ask you. She said she's pretty sure that back in the day you told her that you used the last name Roberts after her dad and the Sheik made a big impression on you. Is that true?
No.
Okay. Where did you get Roberts as the last name?
It just came to me.
All right, so that one, sorry, baby doll, we're blowing that theory up. So back to the match here. Chris would immediately go from being a massive babyface favorite to a hated heel in an instant. He had a lot of female admirers who would be seen tearing up their photos and defacing their T-shirts of him. I mean, anytime you fuck with the Von Erichs in that territory, it's crazy heat, right?
Yep.
Now, speaking of the Von Erichs, they had really kind of peaked, as we mentioned before, with the Freebirds, but man, they are crazy over with the local crowd here still. Coming in the door, would you say that you were excited about the opportunity to work with, the biggest stars in the territory?
I was excited, but I was also guarded.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that it wasn't as easy as you thought it would be.
Right.
It should have been simple. It should have been very simple.
Mm-hmm.
But because of their temperament and because of the way they dealt with business, it wasn't so easy.
So I've heard about the way that they dealt with business, and obviously anybody listening to this probably knows that they had substance abuse issues and they were irresponsible. They wouldn't always show up to the building when they were supposed to, and that's a big deal in this era because these crowds are coming out specifically to see these boys, and then they just don't show up after being advertised.
Absolutely.
But when you talk about their personalities, Jake, were they good people, or like how did they treat you?
They were like little kids, man.
Okay.
They were like 15-year-olds.
Oh man.
They didn't understand responsibility. They didn't understand anything. They were young, very young, and they've been pushed into this position. And the demands were huge. Huge. They didn't want the responsibility. None of them did.
But they did want the money, which is what we're going to be talking about here in just a minute. So Jake, up to this point, I mean, you're at the top of your game, and that's obvious to anybody watching. They kept referencing throughout the videos that I would see, like, God, look at how fast this guy is. And you were lightning fast with your jabs and kind of the way that you got around the ring. So you were at the top of your game, and you had worked with some of the best wrestlers in the world up to this point. How did you assess the Von Erich boys as wrestlers when they had their heads screwed on straight?
Well, I'm still waiting.
Okay, so you never got to work with clean and sober Von Erich boys.
I didn't.
Wow. That is very telling for our listening audience. Like, you were there from August to January, worked with them a lot, and you never got them straight.
I never got them straight, brother.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, it's taken the first night there, or your first night working with them, you realize that they have a problem with substance abuse and no shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, brutal. Jake, you're inserted in the top line creative right here out of the gate, and it's the Von Erichs, it's Gino, it's Chris Adams, so you're right in the thick of the action. You mentioned before that the money didn't quite reflect that. Is that right?
Oh boy, did it not.
What can you tell us about that situation?
There wasn't much.
Not much to tell because there's not much money.
No, there wasn't much money. It was the first place that I'd taken my wife, my bride.
Mm-hmm.
It was really scary for me because I felt like I was letting our family down. We're just starting a family, yet here I am making nothing.
Oh.
I mean, barely surviving, and it was very humiliating for me. It really tore at my mind and my heart, man, because I just didn't want to let this woman down. I was ashamed.
It's interesting, Jake, because you and I had referenced WCCW prior, and I was like, I could just tell by your demeanor when I would bring it up, like, he doesn't like talking about it, and I wonder why, because it's, pretty good creative and some memorable stuff. People online ask about it a lot. I'm beginning to see why you were really upset during this time.
Yeah, it was tough, man, because again, the wife and I are just starting out, and I've taken her from Georgia to God knows awful Texas. And people don't understand, I mean, oh Lord, you go to one of these territories and basically you're there. and you're there 7 days a week, and every day you're getting in your car and leaving, and you're leaving the wife behind, and she's left there with no transportation, no friends, no family, no nothing. And it's tough. It's hard on the relationship. It really is.
I mean, it's got to be tough when you're making great money, let alone if you're not making shit.
Right. Well, if you're making great money, you can spend money to make things happen, but there was no money to make things happen, brother. I'll guarantee you that.
Did you have a conversation with Fritz about payoffs at all?
Yeah.
And it just what's his response?
Hang around, kid.
Oh, for God's sake. Well, we know that Fritz was taking care of his sons, as I mentioned before, and I'm sure at the time that everybody in the locker room knew that too. So, I mean, we're talking about low money. We're talking about no shows from the biggest stars in the territory. Would you say that you were starting to resent the Von Erich boys?
Oh, yeah. You're out there busting your ass, and you're worried that you're going to get hurt because they're fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really hard. I mean, I remember one instance, Ric Flair had came in, and he was wrestling, Kerry.
Yep.
In Fort Worth, and Kerry was so fucked up that he couldn't even put his boots on.
My God.
So they laced his boots up for him. This was on television.
Yeah.
And sent him to the ring. He was wobbling and everything else. And the way they got through it is they said that he had 105 fever, but he didn't want to let the fans down.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, got to take your hat off to Ric Flair in that situation if he's able to pull a match out of a guy in that condition.
Yeah, it was close. He didn't quite get it done.
Oh, man. I mean, how could you with that guy? Good Lord. Well, look, Jake, the low money and the frustrations damn sure weren't keeping you from doing your thing. This next clip is maybe my favorite of the bunch today because it features a really unique promo from you, and it outlines the differences between you and your new partner, Gino Hernandez. Let's have a look.
We came out to visit Jake the Snake Roberts in his environment, and you see Jake is rather busy right now. Hey, Jake, what are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. How are you?
Fine, good to see you.
Hey, welcome to my world, huh?
This is something what different than where your partner Gino Hernandez lives.
Big thing, it's like this, he lives in his world, I live in mine, or ours. Thanks for my world.
You guys were very impressive in that tag team match last week with Kevin Von Erich and Chris Adams. It caused a lot of furor, a lot of excitement in that one.
Well, anytime you have a winning combination such as Gino and myself, and due to the things that happened, it just made it that much nicer, Bill. And it's always good to be a winning part of the team because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
I guess it is. What puzzles me, though, is Gino lives in a high-rise penthouse and you live in an area something like this. How can you two get together mentally to work together?
What's wrong with this,
Well,
Bill?
nothing.
I mean, hey, you probably had something to do with all this. This might be your old car door here.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, how about the difference in philosophies, difference in style?
Well, Gino, he's always taking care of himself. I guess that's because he was born that with a proverbial silver spoon stuck in his mouth. Well, my person's just a little bit different, I come out here and I look at all the trash and the filth and, hey, yeah, that's one of my friends over there, man. I look at all this, though, and I say, this is what life's all about, because after all, we done it for each other. I didn't build this. This was here before I ever got here. Like my jacket, man?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Out of an old car, I just scooped it up, man. It'll do warm. Yeah, it's kind of chilly today, so I had to throw it on. I hadn't got my fall jacket yet. No, I haven't got it yet. But I think this will do till I get one. Let me shove that in there.
Everybody talks about the future and what you look forward to, what your goals are. Do you set any? Do you have anything like that in mind?
What is the future? Future is just that's a joke, man. It might be over 2 seconds from now. Somebody pushes a button and it's over. And you tell me why it's over, because you have made the choice to do with this world what has been done, not I. When I got here, Bill, the laws were already made. You done picked the way you wanted to go. So you see, I'm just going to crank back and enjoy what you've given me to live with. Whatever rules they might be.
You live by the rules?
Weren't rules made to be broken?
I suppose so.
Contracts were made to be broken. A piece of paper. You make a contract out with somebody, Bill, and all they're doing is inviting them to break it. What happened to before when a man could shake your hand and say, well, his word's good? Word means nothing anymore. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you people. Don't come calling me a fool. Don't come calling me a sicko. Because, brother, if you look at yourself in the mirror, I think you'll find out one thing. You're no different than me if you tell yourself the truth. Too many people live in glass houses, you know that?
And throw bricks.
They sure do.
Right.
I'm the rock thrower today, though.
Jake, what is your immediate reaction following that?
I'm proud of it, man.
I don't blame you.
I have an idea.
Dude, that was a hell of a promo. I love your commitment to this character where you've just got dirt on your face and you're saying hi to a dog, and it's just like so bizarre, so strange, and it's like perfect. It really puts the pairing of you and Gino like at odds on paper.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our new sponsor, Fume, and their incredible product. Cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. We're not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your crazy neighbor or replacing one bad habit with another. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume. They look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all-natural, delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. I got my Fume in the mail and I was blown away by the amazing flavor. With options like crisp mint, orange vanilla, maple pepper, and more, there's truly something for everyone and every preference. Also, I am definitely a fidgeter, and Fume scratches that itch as well. It's perfectly balanced, feels great in my hand, and acts as a great stress reliever. Also, it just looks cool. The design includes real wood, a sleek look, and a great shape. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories. There's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use code SNAKE to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack. That's tryfum.com and use code SNAKE to save an additional 10% off your order today. Dude, that was fantastic stuff. You mentioned before that you dislike doing tag team wrestling. Did you feel like you and Gino had pretty good chemistry, though?
It was fair.
Okay, not quite always on the same page, but decent.
Oh, it was just fair.
You know, what's incredible is even after such a short run in the territory tagging with Gino, I see people, as I mentioned, online all the time mentioning your partnership with him. People ask about him online all the time and your relationship with him. Why do you think it resonated with fans so much?
I have no idea, bro. You know, just a period of time where he was the guy that was put in the spotlight. You know, he had a long run there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch the Von Erichs, you watch Gino.
Well, it's whatever was going on between you guys. It was something special. And we're going to move on to our final clip this week. It's October 27th, and it's the first Cotton Bowl extravaganza. It's yourself, Gino, and Chris, and you're challenging the Von Erichs for the six-man tag team title, except Kevin Von Erich is replaced here by Bobby Fulton. Jake, it's 39 years ago, so I'm guessing you won't remember specifically, but is it safe to assume that Kevin no-showed this event, and that's why Bobby filled in?
I believe so.
That sounds like a layup in my mind. I know that they would use it as a storytelling device and say like, oh, well, they didn't beat the three champions, but it's like, you know, this is a big event here at the Cotton Bowl and Kevin's not there. It makes you wonder.
Yep.
Well, let's have a look at the final moments of this match.
Got in this bout, the World Six-Man Tag Team Championship. It's Gino Hernandez now. Looks like he has a chokehold in there. Just Mike Von Erich trying to work his way through Gino. And a change. Bobby Fulton will come in. Mike Von Erich has to get up. Here comes Jake the Snake Roberts in. Let's see what we've got here now with David Manning. Well, David Manning did not allow the Mike Von Erich Fulton interchange. Oh, what a blast there. Now Kerry Von Erich, who eagerly wanted Chris Adams to open the match, discus punch, so that he could gain some revenge for Kevin's injury brought about by Chris Adams. Well, the Von Erich crew is dominating right now. Kerry and the Snake having at it. Looks like a suplex right here. A super kick. Super kick as Snake Roberts was in the air. Chris Adams put the super kick on Kerry as a 2 and a 3. And Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez, and Jake the Snake Roberts have won the bout. But I don't think the referee saw what occurred there. Here is Ralph Pulley.
The winners in 11 minutes and 45 seconds. Gino Hernandez, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Chris Adams. They are the new World Six-Man Tag Team Champions.
The new World Six-Man Tag Team Champions.
All right, there it was, Jake. The first Cotton Bowl extravaganza. Von Erichs are unseated.
Yeah.
Watching it back all these years later, 39 years later, Jake, what did you think of that finish there? Pretty good.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. You know, the Cotton Bowl is home to our favorite football team, the Dallas Cowboys, for a long time.
Yeah.
The Red River rivalry. The list goes on and on. It's a legendary venue. Pretty special for you to work there.
Oh yeah, of course, man. It was quite a moment in my career.
It was cool, and not to. Oh, go on.
I'll tell you this: it's more fun for me to reflect at it, and look at it on film, than it was to live through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you know, like, okay, I'm going to go on to make a lot of money and have a lot of success.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, at the time, it got to be stressful.
It was.
So Jake, you've often been referred to as the man who never needed a title to get over. And, but these 6-man tag team belts, they were created for that red hot rivalry between the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. And so, they were really important, plot telling devices to the territory.
Yeah.
Did it mean anything to you to win these championships, or is it just part of your job?
Just part of my job, man.
Just another heavy thing you got to carry in your bag.
Just something else you got to be responsible for.
Did you feel that way when it came to the Georgia TV title too? Because I know that one was special.
That was a lot of fun. That was special.
Yeah, yeah. And as I mentioned, you were the final TV champion technically for that territory, which is an interesting note. So do you remember if this program was supposed to be long and drawn out, or was this supposed to just kind of happen over the course of a month or two and on to the next?
Everything happened like that. Everything was subject to change.
Oh. Well, Jake, last question here this week. With your background as a booker, were you given any creative input in the territory at this time?
None.
None.
None. That was one of the most frustrating things. That's why I felt so out of place. You know, I mean, I wasn't an idiot. I knew what to do. I knew how to do it. But, you know, I guess I should be grateful they didn't ask me to help, because I would have went absolutely nuts.
As far as what, like cutting talent?
Yeah. How do you fire the Von Erichs?
That might be tough in that territory.
Yeah, better start man first.
It was David Manning that was the head booker at this time, correct?
Ken Mantell.
Ken Mantell.
Yeah.
Okay, and he just couldn't control the action.
Oh God, no.
Man, I cannot wait to continue the story. There is so much left to tell, but that's going to do it for this week in part one of our WCCW story. But Jake, this was an absolute blast today.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Folks, if you're looking to attract that 25 to 54-year-old male demographic, you're going to love advertisewithsnake.com. My podcast partner here is an absolute legend, and he could be giving his endorsement to your product or service. He's still on TV, guys. He's still out making the towns. He's doing live shows. He's doing signings. He's meeting fans all the time, and he's still as influential as ever when it comes to what he says, does, or endorses. So all you have to do to make Jake the Snake Roberts your tag team partner is head to advertisewithsnake.com and make him your partner today. If you can't make it out to see Jake live at a show to get his autograph, why not do the next best thing? Why don't you head on over to jakethesnakeshop.com and get your hands on some rare signed collectibles? How about a new centerpiece for your wrestling collection? You can either wait until Jake comes to a city near you, or you can go right now to jakethesnakeshop.com. He's got 8x10s, he's got rare action figures, t-shirts, and more. Probably my favorite thing that he's got there on the site are the new Ultimate Edition 2-pack figures of himself and Rick Rude. It's 35 years ago that rivalry happened, and they immortalized it with these action figures. And it gets better. Jake signs not only his action figure, he also signs the exterior of the box for you, because there's really cool artwork design of Jake and Rude out there on that thing. So, guys, you've just got to go have a look at it. Find out for yourself why it's going to be the new centerpiece for your wrestling collection. Get over there to jakethesnakeshop.com today. Go make your purchase. Get a cameo from Jake at cameo.com/JakeSnake. Check out some of the awesome reviews that are over there, because, I mean, let me tell you guys, Jake puts an awful lot of effort into these. Here's an example from Matthew. I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. It was sincere. You took your time with it, and I love it so much. It was funny, too. You really made me laugh. God bless you. If you're looking for a unique gift, or if you want a video for yourself, go ahead and do yourself a favor. Get to cameo.com/JakeSnake and order a cameo from the legend himself. Guys, fall is here. It's officially October, and it's starting to get a little brisk out there. I live in Western Pennsylvania, so let me tell you, man, it's going to take a turn very quickly. But I'm covered, guys, because I've got my hoodie from the Snake Pit page at boxofgimmicks.com. We've got all kinds of different options there. We've got the Trust Me hoodie. We've got the WrestleFest inspired hoodie, which is really, really cool looking. You guys have got to go have a look at that one, and plenty more. So why not just go over there and have a look? It doesn't cost you anything to have a look at it. And let me say, if you love 80s and 90s wrestling, you're going to like what you see over there. Everything that we do is kind of a tribute to that era of professional wrestling. And so if you're a fan from that era like I am, there's something there for you. Again, it's the Snake Pit page at boxofgimmicks.com. Check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/@SnakePitPod. We've got short clips. We've got all of our podcasts. We've got archives. We've got all kinds of really cool bite-sized moments from the podcast that you can experience. If you've got somebody who's like, maybe I'll listen to it, or I don't really have time to add another podcast to my rotation, this is perfect for them, because it's just little bite-sized samples of some of the highlights from our podcast. And you know that nobody tells a story like Jake the Snake Roberts. We also recently did a giveaway over there for subscribers, and we'll continue to do those occasionally. All you have to do to be eligible for it is subscribe. That's it. If you want to hit the notifications bell, that would be cool, but you don't have to. Just subscribe to our YouTube page, and you are automatically eligible for all future giveaways. Again, it's youtube.com/@SnakePitPod. Also, if you've enjoyed our podcast, please like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on all platforms. It helps us out a whole bunch. I mentioned adfreeshows.com earlier. It starts at just $9 a month, but the more you put into it, the more stuff you get. I've also mentioned here on the show before that if you like what I do with Jake, you're going to love what I do over there with Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the Hacksaw Hour. We drop a new episode every 2 weeks, and we alternate. So 1 week, it's a mailbag series where it's essentially an Ask Jim Anything. He takes fan questions. And then the other week, we focus in on a specific topic. Our first episode, we were talking about Fall Brawl 1994. We're looking at Team Canada next, and we've got all kinds of conversations left to have with Jim Duggan. That man is a legend. He's done so much in this business. Again, all you've got to do is go over to adfreeshows.com, sign up, become a member at the right tier, and you can unlock thousands of hours of bonus content. Catch Jake on X at Jake Snake DDT, on Instagram at Jake the Snake DDT, and on Facebook at Real Jake the Snake. You can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on X, and you can follow the podcast at Snake Pit Pod on all social media platforms. Our first look back at WCCW is in the books. It was a really fun one today. I can't wait to continue the story. We'll do it sometime soon, and we'll see you guys next week right here on the Snake Pit.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson from SaveWithConrad.com. Heads up, homeowners, all of a sudden your house is worth more than ever these last few years. But what are we going to do with that newfound equity? No, I'm not suggesting you sell your house and go buy something else. But didn't we all make this decision when we bought a house where we said, hey, someday we'd like to, and one day it would be nice if, maybe it's the dream kitchen, maybe it's an in-ground pool, maybe it's a man cave. But you've got this newfound equity, and I think we should use some of that equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. But even better than that, we're routinely helping folks do this, and they wind up with a cheaper monthly payment. So if you got the dream house you always wanted, with no money out of pocket, and your payments went down, how easy is that? Find out how easy it is to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket right now at SaveWithConrad.com. We can't wait to hear about your projects. Tell us what your dream is. We're going to help you make it happen at SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 65084, Equal Housing Lender. Woo!